Mr. Lincoln checked into a hotel with his friend, Mr. Justin. As they sat down to finalize a business deal, reviewing and signing documents, Lincoln picked up the phone and dialed the hotel manager's line. "Kevin," Lincoln began, his tone sharp, "I haven't seen my cleaner since I checked in. I hope you're not slacking in your duties." Kevin responded promptly, but politely, "I'm sorry, sir. The cleaner you preferred has gained admission to the university last month, and she no longer works here." Lincoln's face tightened into a frown. "Oh, that's good news for her. But you should have prepared someone else I can work with before I arrived. You know I rely on their service when I stay here." "My apologies, sir," Kevin replied quickly. "I'll send one of our newly employed cleaners right away." Justin, who had been listening, nodded in agreement. "Kevin knows you can't cope with dust. He should have prepared for this, especially since we gave him a week's notice before we arrived." As they discussed the situation, Kevin entered the room with a young lady beside him. "This is Amara," Kevin said as they stepped in. "I've instructed her on your preferences, sir." Lincoln glanced up briefly, still absorbed in his papers. "I was so focused on these documents that I forgot about it until I sneezed," he remarked, wiping his nose. "Dust must have gathered somewhere." Justin, shaking his head, cut in with a firmer tone. "We paid for this special service in advance. I wouldn't want to report this negligence to your boss." Kevin, visibly flustered, bowed slightly in apology. "I sincerely apologize for the oversight, sir. Amara is here to take care of it. She's been fully briefed, and I assure you she will provide the level of service you expect." Lincoln's demeanor softened slightly as he looked at Amara. "I hope you made it clear to her that I'm highly allergic to dust, and she needs to stay nearby, unless I ask for privacy." "Yes, sir," Kevin confirmed. "I've explained everything to her." Amara smiled warmly and greeted Lincoln as she began cleaning the parlor. Justin watched her for a moment, then added with a smile, "Amara, this room may look clean to you, but for my friend's safety, you'll need to keep cleaning every 40 minutes. Kevin nodded in agreement. "Rest assured, sir. She knows what to do, and I'm confident she'll do her best." With a final smile, Lincoln returned his attention to the documents in front of him, feeling a sense of relief that the situation had been handled. The room fell into a comfortable quiet as both friends became engrossed in their work. Their hands moved seamlessly between the document files and the laptop. The soft clicking of keys blending with the sound of Amara diligently cleaning the parlor. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the sharp ring of Justin's phone. He glanced at the screen and smiled when he saw his younger brother's name flashing. "Hello, Mark. How are you?" Justin answered. Mark's loud laughter burst through the line. "Justin, guess what? My wife just gave birth to a handsome baby boy. I'm a father now." Justin's eyes widened with excitement. "A baby boy? Wow, that's incredible news. Congratulations, brother." "Yes, oh, I thank God," Mark replied joyfully. Justin beamed, clearly elated. "I'm so happy for you. I'm in the middle of an important meeting right now, but I'll call you back as soon as I can. Send my regards to your beautiful wife and give the baby a kiss for me." As soon as Justin ended the call, he couldn't contain his excitement. "Mark is now a father," he exclaimed, his face glowing with joy. Lincoln, who had been quietly listening, frowned and shook his head. "I don't know why Linda refused to give me a son," he muttered bitterly. "Look at your brother, he just got married a year ago, and now he's already the father of a bouncing baby boy." Justin quickly interjected, sensing the frustration in his friend's voice. "But, Lincoln, you already have 3 beautiful daughters, and you know Linda went through surgeries for each one. Would you really want her to try again? It might be too dangerous for her health. Lincoln's face hardened as he cut in. So what? Does that mean my family name will die with me? I can't accept that, Justin. Justin sighed deeply, his expression sympathetic but troubled. I understand how you feel. I'm worried too. But we're not in control, Lincoln. Children are blessings from God. You have to appreciate the family you've been given. But Lincoln's eyes narrowed with determination. I'm not getting any younger, Justin. I won't let my family name die with me. I must have a son, no matter what it takes. I don't care about Linda anymore. I have to end this mockery. I need a son, and I'll do whatever it takes to have one. As Lincoln's voice dropped into a dangerous tone, Amara, who had been quietly absorbed in her cleaning duties, stole a quick glance at the two men. She kept her eyes on her work, but her mind buzzed with the tension that filled the room. Justin leaned forward, his brow furrowed, as he tried to find the right words to calm his friend. The next morning, Amara resumed her cleaning duties in Lincoln's hotel room, moving efficiently as she tidied up the parlor. Once she had finished dusting and arranging everything, she grabbed the small waste bin and headed out to empty it. As she dumped the contents into the large waste drum outside, something unusual caught her eye. Among the trash was a used condom. Her brow furrowed in surprise. Does that mean Mr. Lincoln has a girlfriend? She thought to herself, her curiosity piqued. Amara quickly cleaned out the waste bin and returned to the room, her mind buzzing with questions. As she entered the parlor again, she found Lincoln engrossed in a phone conversation. His voice was low but firm. I want you to leave the office early today, he said, leaning back in his chair. We must be together throughout my stay in town. The woman on the other end of the line, Juliet, replied with a playful tone. Oh, okay, I'll try. You know I'm all yours, my darling. Lincoln smiled slightly, but his voice carried a hint of impatience. If you were truly all mine, you would have applied for a week's leave before I arrived, he teased. Juliet laughed brightly on the other end, her voice full of affection. Soon, baby. I'll be with you very soon. Amara couldn't help but listen to the exchange, a strange feeling bubbling up inside her. The thought of him being so close to someone else stirred an unexpected wave of jealousy in her heart. Her mind began to wander, imagining herself as the lucky one. What if I was the one to give him the son he desperately wants? She mused, recalling Lincoln's intense conversation with Justin the previous day. Her thoughts were interrupted when Lincoln turned to her suddenly. Amara, he called, snapping her back to reality. My friend and I have an appointment in town. We'll be gone for about 5 hours. Please make sure you're available when we return. Before she could respond, Lincoln reached into his wallet and handed her some cash. Go and get yourself something good to eat while we're away, he added with a brief smile. Amara, taken aback by the gesture, smiled warmly and nodded. Okay, sir. Thank you, she replied, clutching the money in her hand. She watched as Lincoln finished gathering his things and prepared to leave. As Amara watched from the window, Lincoln and his friend Justin drove out of the hotel compound. The moment the car disappeared from sight, Amara sprang into action. She quickly changed out of her cleaning uniform and into a modest, yet stylish, gown. She wasn't just stepping out for leisure, she had plans of her own. After locking up the hotel room, Amara made her way to town, where she met up with her close friend, Nurse Dorothy. The two women sat down in a quiet cafe, sipping on drinks as they began a long conversation. Amara spoke in hushed tones, her eyes gleaming with determination as she shared her plan. So, you're really serious about this? Dorothy asked, raising an eyebrow, though a hint of amusement curled her lips. Amara smiled confidently, leaning in closer. Absolutely, I've thought this through. My hotel manager has told me all about Lincoln, how wealthy he is. Giving him a son would not only make me rich, but it would also secure my child's future. Imagine, Dorothy, my son could inherit everything Lincoln owns. Dorothy chuckled softly, shaking her head at her friend's ambition. It's possible, yes, but are you really ready for the responsibility of raising a child? Especially one whose father doesn't know about his existence. Amara nodded without hesitation. I'm ready, this is my chance, Dorothy. Lincoln's obsessed with having a son. He made that clear yesterday, when he was talking to his friend. If I give him that son, he'll have no choice but to recognize me, and our child will be his heir. Dorothy took a sip of her coffee and studied her friend for a moment before responding. All right, if you're set on this, I'll help you, but you'll have to be smart about it. You need to get his used condom, and then I'll speak to a doctor who can assist with the next steps. Amra's smile widened, relief washing over her. Thank you, Dorothy. I knew I could count on you. 2 months later, Amara found herself sitting in the hospital with her friend, Nurse Dorothy. She had been feeling unwell for the past few days, suffering from symptoms of malaria, a persistent cough, and catarrh. As she sat on the examination bed, she groaned softly. I don't know what's wrong with me, Dorothy. I've been so sick lately, and nothing seems to help. Dorothy, who had been checking her vitals, smiled knowingly. Babe, before I recommend any medication, let's rule out one thing first. We need to make sure you're not already pregnant with Lincoln's child. Amra's eyes widened slightly at the suggestion. Pregnant? So soon? Can it happen that fast? She asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Well, it's been about 2 months since you followed through with the plan, right? Dorothy asked with a teasing grin. It's definitely possible. Amara blinked, still processing the idea. Mr. Lincoln is coming back next week, she muttered. My manager told me yesterday to start cleaning his room daily to make sure it's ready for his arrival. Dorothy chuckled softly as she prepared a pregnancy test. Well, before you start worrying about cleaning rooms, let's see if there's a little someone already growing inside of you. After a few minutes, Dorothy glanced at the test results, and her face lit up with excitement. Amara, get ready. My friend is about to become a mother. Amra's heart raced, and her eyes widened in shock. It can't be true, she exclaimed, her voice a mix of disbelief and nervous excitement. Dorothy nodded, beaming. Congratulations, Amara. You're 8 weeks pregnant. 8 weeks, she whispered to herself. I need to know the sex of the child. I pray it's a boy. It's too early to tell the sex of the baby. My dear, you'll have to wait a bit longer for that. Come back when you're around 5 months along, and we can find out then. Amara left the hospital, her steps lighter than they had been in weeks. She had a secret growing inside her, and soon, it would change everything. As expected, Lincoln checked into the hotel a few days later. He greeted Amara warmly, his eyes crinkling with a genuine smile as he handed her a beautifully wrapped handpack. Thank you so much, Amara, he said, his voice filled with appreciation. When I returned home last time, I had no asthma symptoms at all. That alone was proof of how well you did your job. This is just a small token of my gratitude. Amra's face lit up with a warm smile as she accepted the gift. Thank you, sir. I'm so happy to hear that. It's always my pleasure to ensure you're comfortable. Lincoln nodded, the exhaustion evident on his face as he let out a long sigh. I need to catch up on some sleep, he said, his voice growing softer. My doctor advised me to rest more, and I took some medication before I arrived, so I'm feeling pretty drowsy. Amara nodded attentively. Of course, sir. I'll be careful not to disturb you. Please rest well. With that, Lincoln gave her a small nod of thanks and made his way into the bedroom. Within moments, he had settled onto the bed, his body sinking into the plush mattress as the medication quickly took effect. Amara continued with her cleaning in the parlor, wiping down surfaces and tidying up as usual. But as the minutes ticked by, a thought suddenly crossed her mind. She paused, glancing toward the door of Lincoln's bedroom. He's asleep, completely unaware, she thought, her heart racing with the sudden rush of an idea. Without hesitation, she tiptoed into his room, moving as quietly as possible so as not to wake him. On the knitstand beside him, his phone was plugged in, charging. Amara unplugged it and quickly navigated through it, searching for the information she wanted. She knew her time was limited. She had to be fast. Lincoln could wake at any moment. After a few tense minutes, she managed to get some data, including personal details. Lincoln remained sound asleep, completely oblivious to what had just transpired. After about 3 hours, the faint sound of sobbing drifted through the quiet hotel room, rousing Lincoln from his deep sleep. Confused, he sat up, listening closely. The soft sobs seemed to be coming from the sitting room. Concerned, Lincoln got up, made his way to the parlor, and was surprised to find Amara, her face streaked with tears, as she quietly cleaned. "Amara," Lincoln said, his voice low but firm. "What's going on? Why are you crying?" Amara quickly wiped her face, trying to compose herself. "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. It's nothing. Please don't worry about it." Lincoln frowned and stepped closer, his voice softening with concern. "I'm not worried about the work. I'm worried about you. Why are you crying? Tell me what's wrong." Amara hesitated, but, finally, she sighed and spoke in a trembling voice. "It's my mother, sir. She's in the hospital, critically ill. The doctors won't start treatment unless we pay 200,000 naira up front. And I don't have the money." She wiped her eyes again, sniffling. "I just received my salary of 15,000 naira. I gave it all to them, but they refused, saying it was too small. I'm scared. I don't want to lose my mom. I don't want to become an orphan." Lincoln's heart softened at her words, and without hesitation, he motioned for her to come sit on the couch. "Come here, sit down." "Which hospital is she in?" "She lives in the village, sir. She was admitted to the only health center there. I don't know what else to do." Lincoln nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Don't worry, Amara. I'll help you. I'll send you the money right now." Amara's eyes widened in disbelief. "What, sir? Are you serious? Thank you so much." Her voice was a mix of relief and astonishment. She never expected Lincoln to be so generous. Without another word, Lincoln pulled out his phone and immediately transferred 400,000 naira to her account, far more than she had asked for. As he completed the transaction, he looked at her kindly. "This should cover the hospital bill and anything else your mother might need. And if you need more, don't hesitate to ask." Amara was overwhelmed with gratitude. Tears of relief flowed down her face as she stammered, "Thank you, sir. I can't thank you enough. You've just saved my mother's life." Just as they finished their conversation, Justin entered the room, looking slightly impatient. "Lincoln, we're running behind schedule. We need to head out now." Lincoln stood up, nodding to his friend. "All right, let's go." He turned back to Amara, giving her a reassuring smile. "Take care, and make sure your mother gets the treatment she needs." With that, both men hurried out of the room, leaving Amara alone, as the door closed behind them. She sat down on the couch, a victorious smile spreading across her face. Her plan had worked perfectly. Not only did she now have the money to take care of herself and her unborn child, but Lincoln's generosity also made her feel even more confident in her future. Justin and Lincoln returned from their outing. the tension between them palpable as they entered the hotel suite. Justin trying to make sense of the situation. His voice was sharp, cutting through the air as he questioned Lincoln's actions. "You still don't get my point, Lincoln," Justin said, frustration evident in his tone. "Why on earth did you slap your wife? She was crying when she was talking to me on phone, telling me what happened." I couldn't believe it. Lincoln's eyes narrowed in defense, his jaw clenched. Both of us had just come back from an event. I was in a bad mood, and she noticed. When she asked what was wrong, I told her the truth, that I need a son. I need an heir, someone to carry on my family name, to uphold our legacy. The moment I said that, she flared up. She threw it back in my face, saying she'd risked her life 3 times to make me the father of 3 beautiful daughters. And that if I wasn't satisfied with that, I could do my worst. Lincoln's voice grew harsher as he continued, his frustration boiling over. I tried to explain. "Justin, I tried to tell her why it's important, why she needs to try one more time. But she wasn't listening. She wouldn't hear me out. And her reaction, it pushed me to the edge. I was left with no choice but to slap her. And believe me, if she keeps resisting, I'll do more. Need a son, Justin, and that's final." Justin stared at him, momentarily stunned by the intensity in Lincoln's voice. "Lincoln, this whole thing is getting out of hand. You and Linda have always been the best of friends, the kind of couple everyone admired. Have you thought about other options? Would you consider adopting a male child to settle this without causing more hurt?" Lincoln's face twisted in anger, his voice rising. "Are you serious, Justin? You think I would settle for adoption?" She suggested that once, but I shut it down. I want my own son, Justin, my own blood. I'm not weak, I'm capable of having a son, and I will have one. If Linda refuses to try again, I'll take a second wife. That's my final decision." The room fell silent as Justin processed Lincoln's words. "Lincoln," he said softly, "please, calm down. I know how much this means to you, but I don't want you to make decisions you'll regret." Amara had been in the parlor the entire time, pretending to be engrossed in her work. Her mind, however, was racing with the implications of what she had overheard. 3 months later, Linda, Lincoln's wife, decided to take a long morning jog along the quiet, tree-lined road of their neighborhood estate. It was her usual Saturday routine, a way to clear her mind and stay fit. As she rounded a corner, she noticed a pregnant woman walking not too far behind her. Curious and concerned, Linda slowed down, letting the woman catch up to her. "Hello, madam," Linda greeted with a warm smile, her voice gentle. "How are you doing? Shouldn't your husband be walking with you? It's not safe for you to be out here alone, especially in your condition. What if you went into labor all of a sudden? Who would be here to help you?" The pregnant woman chuckled softly, her face lighting up with a polite smile. "Thank you for your concern, madam, but I'm perfectly fine. I have 3 guys around here keeping an eye on me. And don't worry, this pregnancy is still young. No need to panic yet." Linda smiled back. "I see. Well, I've done this 3 times myself, so I know the drill. It's always best to be cautious." The woman's smile deepened, but there was a glint in her eye that made Linda pause. "I know you've done this 3 times, she said with an unsettling calmness. "And that's why I've decided to do the 4th one for you." Linda's smile froze, her brow furrowing in confusion. "What do you mean by that?" she asked, her voice uncertain. The woman's face grew more serious, and with a steady tone, she introduced herself. "My name is Precious. I'm here to tell you something important, something that will change your life. I'm pregnant with your husband's child." Linda felt the blood drain from her face. Her heart thudded heavily in her chest, and for a moment, she couldn't breathe. What did you just say?" she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, you heard me right. I'm 5 months pregnant, and it's a boy. The son your husband, Mr. Lincoln, has been desperate for," Precious said. Linda's knees went weak, and she reached out to steady herself against a nearby tree. Tears filled her eyes, spilling over uncontrollably as the weight of Precious's words sank in. "So, my husband finally did the worst," she muttered, her voice cracking with disbelief. Precious remained calm, watching Linda's reaction with mild amusement. "Yes, I'm carrying his child, but don't worry, I haven't told him about it yet. I'm giving you the chance to decide what happens next." Linda's mind raced, struggling to grasp the situation. "I don't understand," she said, shaking her head in disbelief. "What are you talking about? What do you mean I get to decide?" Precious nodded, her expression turning serious. "You have two choices, Linda. Option 1, you can pretend you're the one who's pregnant. You'll travel abroad with me, and when the baby is born, you can take him and claim him as your own. Or," she paused, her eyes narrowing, "you can let me become Lincoln's second wife." Linda's breath caught in her throat. "Second wife? Are you out of your mind? I am legally married to him. You think you can just walk into our lives and take my place?" Her voice rose with anger, but deep down, fear gnawed at her. Precious smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "If you let me marry him, it won't be long before you're out of the picture. Trust me, once I give him the son he's always wanted, you'll be nothing more than a memory, and Lincoln, he'll be mine completely." Linda's eyes widened in horror. "What kind of twisted game are you playing?" Precious shrugged casually. "It's not a game, Linda, it's reality." Precious leaned in slightly, her voice cold. "I'm giving you a chance to save your marriage. But if you don't want to take it, that's fine by me. I'll win either way." Before Linda could muster a response, Precious turned on her heel. "I have to go since you don't want to reason with me. Goodbye, madam." Linda stood frozen, watching as Precious walked away, her mind numb from shock. Linda's mind whirled with the truth in Precious's words. Over the past few months, she had felt the distance growing between her and Lincoln. He no longer looked at her with the same love in his eyes. Their once strong bond had weakened. No more weekend outings, no more jogging together. He's not the same man he used to be. And now this woman, this stranger. As she looked at the spot where Precious had disappeared, she suddenly realized that she needs to save her marriage at any cost. Linda ran to catch up with Precious, but Precious was nowhere to be found. 3 days later, Linda walked slowly toward the sitting room, where Lincoln was seated, engrossed in a TV program. As she entered the room, she suddenly slumped to the floor, unconscious. In a panic, Lincoln jumped up, rushing to her side. His heart raced as he gently shook her, calling her name, but there was no response. Without wasting another second, he scooped her up in his arms and rushed her to the hospital. At the hospital, Lincoln paced back and forth in the waiting room, worry etched across his face. He couldn't sit still, thoughts of his wife's condition tormenting him. He prayed silently, hoping for good news. After what felt like an eternity, Dr. Armani emerged from the consultation room with a smile on her face. Lincoln hurried toward her, anxious for answers. "Doctor, how is my wife? Is she okay?" he asked, his voice shaky with concern. Dr. Armani's smile widened. "Mr. Lincoln, your wife is fine. In fact, congratulations, she's 3 months pregnant." Lincoln stood there, stunned, his mouth slightly agape. "Pregnant," he repeated, as if the word didn't quite register. Dr. Armani nodded. "Yes, she's 3 months along. but there's something you should be aware of. Her blood pressure was dangerously high when she arrived, and it's a sign that she's been under a lot of stress. If she hadn't been brought in when she could have miscarried the baby. Lincoln's heart sank at the thought. I had no idea, he confessed, his voice softening with regret. She didn't tell me, and with her past pregnancies, she doesn't usually show until she's much further along, around 6 or 7 months. Dr. Armani gave him a sympathetic look. It's important you give her the care and attention she needs from now on. Stress can be very harmful, especially during pregnancy. I'm sure you'll do your best. Lincoln nodded, his mind racing. Thank you, doctor. I'll make sure she's well taken care of. The next day, Linda was discharged from the hospital and brought home. She sat on the couch in a living room, nibbling on a plate of fresh fruit. Her complexion was still pale, but she seemed to be feeling better. Lincoln walked in from the bedroom and joined her, sitting down beside her on the couch. Linda, he began softly, I think we should start preparing for your trip abroad to have this baby, just like we did with the girls. It's part of our family tradition, and I want to make sure everything goes smoothly. Linda sighed. Lincoln, I've been thinking, and I'm not sure I want to go abroad this time. Maybe it would be better to have this baby here at home. Lincoln's brow furrowed in confusion. What? But we've always had our children abroad. Our 3 girls were born overseas. Why do you want to do things differently this time? This is our son, our only son. Don't you want his birth to follow the same tradition? Linda chuckled softly, though her eyes held a hint of sadness. Oh, Prophet Lincoln, she teased, I see you're already certain it's a boy. I'll go along with your faith and claim that, too. May God give me a son, so I can finally be free from your endless talk about needing an heir. Lincoln's face lit up with a broad smile. Of course, it's a boy. I've waited for this for so long. You even vowed never to get pregnant again, and yet here you are, expecting. That's God's doing, I'm sure. He gave us this child to fulfill my dream of having a son. Linda shook her head, though a small smile tugged at her lips. All right, pregnant daddy. Lincoln beamed, his excitement barely contained. This pregnancy would definitely give us a son. 5 years later, Lincoln, Linda, and their 5-year-old son, an ex, were enjoying a beautiful afternoon at a vibrant playground. Laughter filled the air as they played together, running, skipping, and enjoying each other's company. The park was alive with families and children, but for that moment, Lincoln and his family felt like they were in their own world of joy. As Lincoln and Linda sat down to catch their breath, a young woman, walking nearby, stumbled and fell close to where they were seated. Lincoln, ever the gentleman, quickly rushed over to help her. He extended his hand to her, and as she got up, steadying herself with his help, she glanced at his face and smiled. Thank you so much, sir. You look very familiar, she said, trying to place his face. Lincoln looked at her with a hint of confusion. I don't think we've met before. I can't seem to recall. The woman's smile broadened. Oh, but if I'm not mistaken, you're Mr. Lincoln, right? The one who used to visit Harmony International Hotel. Lincoln paused. Then his face lit up with recognition. Oh, yes, that's right. I remember now. But remind me, what's your name again? I'm Amara, the cleaner who was assigned to your room back then, she replied with a bright smile. Lincoln nodded, recalling the old days. Of course, Amara. How could I forget? You were always so diligent. But what happened to you? Kevin, the manager, said you disappeared suddenly. I asked about you, but no one seemed to know where you went. And how's your mother doing? Amra's smile softened, and she sighed. I got caught up in some complicated issues, personal matters, that needed my full attention. That's why I had to leave the job without notice." Just then, Lincoln turned to Linda, who had been sitting nearby, observing the exchange. "Linda," he called out, trying to get her attention. "This is the cleaner I told you about, the one who took such good care of my room at the hotel." Linda, lost in her thoughts, didn't respond. "Linda, Linda," Lincoln called again, slightly louder. She snapped out of her daze and looked at him. "What is it, Lincoln?" she asked, moving closer to them, her tone distant but composed. Amara, noticing Linda's hesitation, greeted her warmly. "Good afternoon, ma'am," she said with a smile, though she could sense Linda's discomfort. Lincoln, trying to lighten the moment, introduced them again. "Linda, this is Amara, the cleaner I was telling you about. She was always so dutiful at the hotel. I'm surprised to see her here." Linda forced a smile. "Oh, yes, the cleaner I sent a gift to. Thank you for your service to my husband back then." Lincoln nodded enthusiastically, seemingly unaware of Linda's unease. Yes, that's the one." Just then, little Annex ran up to his father, tugging on his sleeve. "Dad, I want ice cream," he said excitedly. Lincoln smiled down at his son. "All right, buddy. We'll get you some soon." He then turned to Amara and proudly introduced his son. "This is my boy, Annex. He's my only son, my pride and joy." Amara stared at Annex, her face lighting up with a tender smile. She gently took his hand. "Annex, that's such a beautiful name. And you're such a handsome little boy." Lincoln beamed with pride. "Thank you, Amara. He means the world to us." The encounter ended as Lincoln politely excused himself, promising to stay in touch with Amara. As they walked away, heading to the ice cream stand with Annex, Linda's heart remained heavy. As they returned home from the amusement park, Lincoln, still smiling from the playful day with his son, received a sudden call. His expression changed as he glanced at his phone, and after listening intently for a few moments, he turned to Linda. "I have to go take care of something. I'll be back as soon as I can," Lincoln said, grabbing his keys and heading toward the door. The moment Lincoln closed the door behind him, Linda's calm facade crumbled. She rushed to her phone with trembling hands and quickly dialed a number. After a few tense rings, a woman's voice came through on the other end, sharp and cold. "Why are you calling me, Linda? I thought you told me to do my worst the last time we spoke." Linda swallowed hard, her voice breaking as she responded. "Please, Amara, don't do this. I did everything you asked of me. Why are you going back on your word? You promised you'd stay away after I met your demands." Amara let out a bitter laugh. "Annex is my son, Linda. The only reason Lincoln is even giving you a space in his life is because of him. Do you really think I'm going to let you keep him away from me forever?" Linda's voice quivered, desperation creeping in. "Amara, I tried my best for you. I gave you everything you asked for. We had a deal. You promised you'd never come back for Annex. Why are you doing this now?" Amara's tone sharpened with cold fury. "Shut up, Linda. What did you really do for me that could ever compare to what I did for you? You think money and a few gifts are enough."
Flashback.
5 years ago, Linda had arrived in Canada a week before Amara, her nerves on edge as she prepared for the secret meeting that would change her life forever. They met in a small, discreet cafe. "So, what do you want in exchange for this favor?" Linda asked, her voice barely steady. Amara smiled, her eyes glinting with a knowing look. She reached into her bag and pulled out a neatly folded piece of paper, sliding it across the table. "Go through this," she said, her voice calm but firm. "If everything looks good to you, sign it, and we'll make it official." Linda's heart raced as she unfolded the paper, scanning its contents. Her eyes widened with shock as she looked up at Amara. "This is ridiculous. Where am I supposed to get the kind of money you're asking for? And 2 houses, one in Canada and another in Lagos. This is impossible. Amra's smile never faltered. Oh, Linda, don't pretend to be naive. I know exactly how wealthy you and Lincoln are. You can afford this easily, but if you're not interested, we can call it a day right now. She picked up her bag and stood, moving toward the door. Panic gripped Linda as she stammered, "Wait, Amara, please, come back. I'll do it. I'll find a way to make it happen. Just don't walk away." A month later, Linda called Amara, her voice bubbling with excitement. They met again, this time in the lavish house Linda had purchased for Amara in Canada. Amara held a folder in her hands, her smile triumphant. "You did it," Amara said, her tone laced with satisfaction. "The house here, the one in Lagos, it's all perfect. And the money for my business, well, that's the cherry on top. Now, let's finalize the agreement." She handed Linda a pen and the papers to sign. "From this day forward, you're the mother of my son, forever." Linda signed the papers with shaking hands, sealing the deal that would keep her secret safe. The 2 women hugged, both wearing smiles, grateful for the moment.
Flashback ended.
Back in the present. Linda's voice cracked as she tried to reason with Amara. "I spent a fortune on you. I gave you 2 houses, set up your business, and a year after you came up with another deal asking for a monthly salary. Remember, after a long argument, I put you on a monthly salary of 7 million. Just last month, I couldn't make the payment because Lincoln started questioning my spending. I explained everything to you. I just asked for a 3-month break, and then I'd resume the payments. You know how difficult it's been to keep this from him." Amara cut her off, her voice icy. "Do you really think what you're giving me compares to what you're getting from Lincoln? Let's stop pretending, Linda. I want my son back. I want to raise an ex myself. The mistake you made was letting me see him. He's such a cute boy, and I can't stay away any longer." Linda's heart pounded in her chest as she screamed into the phone. "That will never happen. You will never take an ex from me. I won't let you, over my dead body. Don't you dare come near my son." Amra's laugh echoed through the phone, chilling Linda to the bone. "Oh, Linda," she said, her voice dripping with menace. "I'm closer than you think. Stay alert." And with that, the line went dead. Linda stood frozen. Amra's words echoed in her mind, filling her with dread. She could feel the walls closing in on her, the fragile life she had built threatening to collapse. Fear obvious in her wide eyes. As soon as Lincoln returned home that evening, his face was drawn with a mixture of exhaustion and focus. "Another business deal came up," he said as he dropped his keys on the table. "I need to travel tomorrow for a few days." Linda's expression, however, wasn't bright. Her mind was still racing from the phone call with Amara. Noticing her unusual silence, Lincoln furrowed his brow. "What's wrong?" he asked, his tone soft but concerned. Linda hesitated, her eyes narrowing as she carefully chose her words. "I need some cash," she said, her voice slower than usual. "Something urgent has come up." Lincoln leaned back slightly, his tone now more serious. "Linda, you know money isn't an issue. But lately, it seems like you've been spending large amounts without explaining why. You've been secretive about it, and that's unlike you. Is there something you're not telling me?" Just as the tension in the room thickened, Lincoln's phone buzzed loudly. "It's Amara calling," he said, almost absent-mindedly, as he showed Linda the name flashing on the screen. Linda's heart skipped a beat, her face suddenly paling. "Answer it," she urged quickly, her voice strained with a mix of fear and urgency. Lincoln, slightly puzzled by her reaction, pressed the answer button and put the call on speaker. "Hello, Amara, how are you?" he asked, his voice casual but curious. Amra's voice came through clearly. "Good evening, sir. I'm doing well, thank you. I wanted to see if I could meet with you tomorrow. Is there a good time and place for us to talk?" Linda's pulse quickened. She caught Lincoln's gaze and gave him a sharp look, silently mouthing, "Invite her here to the house." Lincoln hesitated, his brow furrowing as he processed Linda's silent request. Sure, Amara," he stammered, unsure of what was happening, but following Linda's lead. "You can come to our house at 11 a.m. tomorrow. I'll send you the directions later." The call ended, and for a moment, there was an eerie silence between them. Lincoln set his phone down slowly, turning his full attention to Linda. "Linda, I'm not sure it's a good idea to invite a stranger to our home. We barely know her, and I can't help but wonder why the sudden interest in having her here." Linda's forced smile. "I just want to meet her here, that's all. Nothing more," she said quickly, her voice unconvincing. As Lincoln left the room to pack for his trip, Linda stood alone, her mind racing. When Linda noticed that Lincoln was sound asleep, she got up and started packing her clothes. Lincoln woke up to the sound of soft rustling and noticed Linda, hurriedly packing her clothes into a large suitcase. Alarmed, he sat up on the bed and asked, "Linda, what's going on? What are you doing?" Without looking at him, Linda's hands froze for a moment before she broke down into tears. "I'm leaving you, Lincoln," she sobbed. "And I'm taking our daughters with me. I can't stay here any longer." Lincoln's face filled with confusion and shock. "What? Why this sudden decision? What have I done wrong, Linda?" he asked, his voice strained with worrying. "Is this why you've been taking out so much money? Please tell me what's happening." Linda wiped her tears angrily. "Amara," she shouted, her voice laced with betrayal. "She's the mother of your son, Lincoln. And now she's coming here tomorrow to take her place in our home, the home you've prepared for her behind my back." Lincoln's face went pale, and his heart raced. "Amara," he muttered in disbelief. "What are you talking about? I have never had an affair with Amara, Linda. She's just a cleaner at the hotel. There's nothing between us." "Don't lie to me," Linda screamed, her voice trembling with rage. "How else would she have gotten pregnant with an ex?" Lincoln felt like the ground was shifting beneath him. "Pregnant," he repeated, shaking his head in disbelief. "No, Linda, you've got it all wrong. I swear to you. I've never been involved with Amara like that. I didn't even know she was pregnant. Is she really an ex-mother?" Linda felt like the world was crumbling around her. The years of secrets, the tension between her and Lincoln, the suspicions, all of it rushed to the surface. With that terrifying thought in her mind, Linda bolted from the room, running into the guest bedroom, unlocking the door behind her. Lincoln chased after her, desperately knocking on the door. "Linda, please, open the door," he pleaded. "Let's talk about this. I swear I'm telling the truth." But from behind the door, Linda's muffled voice could be heard through her sobs. "I can't do this anymore, Lincoln. I've been lied to and manipulated. I can't bear it. I need to leave." Hours passed, and the tension in the house hung thick in the air. At exactly 11 a.m., as promised, Amara arrived at the house. Lincoln greeted her at the door, his expression tense but polite. "Amara, you said we needed to talk," he said, gesturing for her to come inside. "I hope everything is all right." Amara nodded. "Yes, sir, I'm fine. But there's something important I need to tell you about your wife." Lincoln furrowed his brow. "Go on," he said cautiously. Amara cleared her throat. "The truth is, Linda, your wife is not an ex-mother. She purchased a son for you because she knew how desperate you were for a male child." Lincoln felt the air leave his lungs as the weight of her words sank in. What are you saying, Amara? Are you sure about this? Yes, sir, Amara confirmed. Your wife made a deal with me. She paid me a fortune to have a child, a son, for you. Lincoln's face fell into a look of shock and betrayal. Who is Annette's real mother, then? He asked, dreading the answer. Amara hesitated, but then, in a trembling voice, she said, I'm his mother. And, sir, you are his father. At that moment, Linda, who had been listening to their conversation from the hallway, emerged. Her face was flushed with anger and devastation. Lincoln, she said, her voice quivering, do you still need to lie about this? You were the one who got her pregnant. Stop deceiving me. You have nothing to hide anymore. Lincoln was frozen, his mind racing. He had never been with Amara, yet here she was, claiming to be the mother of his child. He turned toward the entrance, where 3 policemen were standing silently, waiting for his signal. Lincoln had invited them earlier, sensing that something wasn't right. As soon as Amara saw the policeman, her face went pale. Please don't arrest me, she cried out. Let me tell the truth. Linda, furious, shouted, so, my husband wasn't responsible. You tricked me into believing he was, and I spent millions on you. Amara, now desperate, stammered, Lincoln is the father, but he was unaware of it. He wasn't part of the arrangement. I did everything all alone. Amara began to narrate the story, explaining how she got to know that Lincoln needed a son and took advantage of the situation through his discarded used condom. Linda stood frozen, her emotions torn between rage and disbelief. When Amara finished, Lincoln and Linda exchanged stunned looks. Linda, trembling with fury, shouted, So Lincoln, all these years, you were the one wasting the semen that could have given us a son. And then you'd come home and blame me for not having a male child. Lincoln, his voice low with shame, said, Linda, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I've made so many mistakes. Please, forgive me. Amara, sensing the tension, tried to seize the moment. I risked everything for you, Lincoln. I risked my life and my womb to give you the son you wanted. I took the greatest risk for you. Lincoln nodded, his expression calm but firm. I understand what you did, Amara, but that doesn't give you a place in this house. What you've done is a crime, but I won't press charges if you promise to leave and never come back. Amara nodded quickly, her voice trembling. Please, don't arrest me. I'm sorry for my greed. I'll leave and never return. I swear. Lincoln glanced at Linda. My wife told me everything she's given you over the years. I'll add 200 million to it as a final settlement, but this ends today. You are never to contact us again. Amra's eyes widened with gratitude, and she quickly thanked them both before leaving the house. As the door closed behind her, she walked faster to the gate. Then she started running. I needed to move faster. I don't want those policemen to catch up with me. Lincoln turned to Linda, his eyes filled with remorse. He stepped towards her, knelt down in front of her. I'm so sorry, Linda, for all the pain I've caused. I never wanted things to turn out this way. Linda, still shaken, tried to move closer to him but couldn't. She was deeply hurt. Tears streaming down her face. We've been through so much, Lincoln. I forgive you, my love. Lincoln rushed to her, wrapping her in his arms. I will forever love you, Linda. Hello besties. What's your take on this story? Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below in your own language, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Make sure to check out the description for more exciting stories on this channel, such as
Secret Exposed, Abandoned Twins,
Headless Girl. The handsome billionaire who pretended to be poor and disgusting to find true love.
Thanks for watching. God bless you. I love you all.